Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mike.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, a podcast where we take a long, hard look back at some of our favorite action movies from the era of get down, Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of those 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down.
We've made it to the end.
Dun, dun, dun.
As Ivan Drago would say, to the end. We are back with the final episode of our series on the Terminator.
Yeah, one of our favorite movies.
It is weird.
We have a lot of favorite movies. So.
Yeah, but this one's on my Mount Rushmore, as we've discussed. This is one of my all-time favorites.
I know this on your Mount Rushmore, but I also think as far as 80s action films go, it is on that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if it's the Michael Jordan, but
it's right there.
Yeah,
it's maybe like the Larry Bird.
Maybe the Kareem. Yeah.
We thank you so much for listening, everybody out there. We're having a blast talking about it. I was a little nervous to talk about this movie because I hold it in such high esteem. But I'm having a great time, and yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks also to Kevin, who's joined us for the previous episodes. That was awesome. We hope to have him back sometime soon.
Absolutely.
So Mike and I are going to take you the rest of the way here.
Absolutely. And it feels good to be back. So let's do this.
I'll be back. Tell us what's going on in the movie, Mike.
So the Terminator, where do I start? The Terminator basically has come back from the future. He's out to kill Sarah Connor. Reese has been sent back from the future also, and he's there to protect Sarah Connor. So Sarah's, having a little trouble believing all this, but there's this big fight scene at the police station where she's finally convinced that Reese is there to protect her. So we have gotten to the point where Reese and Sarah are now sitting in a motel room, basically making pipe bombs to fight the Terminator.
And then Reese shows her his pipe bombs.
Does. So Reese and Sarah make sweet love, and so that's actually,
and the Terminator's on the way to kill him.
And me being me, I don't think I still got that Reese was the father, but
okay.
That's just dumb 12-year-old.
So you didn't get it until the end when she's pregnant?
I don't know.
Then?
Yeah, probably. And honestly, I saw it when I was so young. I don't know if I got it then.
You didn't know about the birds and the bees?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I probably did, but I mean, I was.
Did you see it when it was new?
8 or 9
So you saw it on TV then, or
when
did you
it
see it?
first
You didn't
came
see it in
out?
the theater.
No way. I was.
Okay.
I was not even. I don't think I was 10.
They weren't taking you into those R-rated movies.
No. Or how I used to sneak in, but no, I didn't see this. I probably saw it on HBO or Cinemax, something like that. When I was 15. Years later. I just don't remember being oh, that was the father. It took me some years before I really came to that. I think I was that same way with Darth Vader too. I didn't really get it.
Oh, I am your father.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really didn't get in Star Wars was when in Empire Strikes Back when he goes into the cave and he fights Darth Vader and he cuts his head off. I didn't realize that was Luke's face in the.
What do you think it was?
I didn't know. I just didn't know.
That's what Darth looked like?
I thought that's what Darth looked like, yeah.
Okay.
It took me years to be oh, shit, that was Luke Skywalker.
Oh, damn.
So, yeah, but again.
Maybe you have that thing where you have face blindness.
Maybe, yeah. I'm really bad with names, so that could be it. But, so I guess maybe I'm just slow to the party sometimes. And those are 2 times that I was didn't get it till after the fact.
Well, we appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that with us.
Oh, that's what I do.
All of our millions of listeners around the world.
It's these Sweetwater 420s just talking right now.
So, yeah, that's a great summary. We'll pick it up. Sarah and Reese just boned in the Tiki Motel. Little did they know that the Terminator is on his way to kill them, so he's speeding through the darkness on his motorcycle.
Because of Sarah. That's a very important fact. Because this movie could have ended because they could have already been in Hawaii on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
But Sarah decides to call mommy and let mommy know where she's at.
It was wild the way that the Terminator was just cruising, like with the machine gun resting on his shoulder, like not a care in the world.
And no cops following him.
Nah, man. So later that night, Reese and Sarah, they're in high spirits. They're in that like post-sex glow they got going on.
What if there was like a scene where they were like smoking a cigarette in bed? That'd have been too much, right?
Nah, man. I mean, you know, Reese he's like looks like he's floating around on cloud 9 in this whole scene.
He just made love to the legend, right? You know, like you always want that girl, like you want that like, get and you finally get her.
Especially when you've been thinking about it for like years or whatever it's been, and you finally like did it. You made it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. Reese's tension has definitely been like relaxed, right? They're lucky the Terminator didn't bust in right in the middle of them fucking.
Yeah, but he would have. I mean, they got lucky because the dog starts barking.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, I'll say it again. Reese probably shouldn't have let that happen. Like let their guard down like that.
True.
It's just not great strategery.
But yes, I agree with you. But he also felt that they were somewhat safe because he was like, well, there's no way that the Terminator should know where we're at.
That's true. He doesn't know that Sarah.
He's not completely let his guard down, right? Because he was that scene where he was looking out the window.
Yeah, yeah.
But he also wasn't like on
he probably
high
also
alert.
was like, you know what? I'll risk the whole future
just for this. Yeah, because he's in love. Like, and apparently he came across like I find it hard to walk across the bar, and this dude went through time.
Facts.
Yeah.
So they're packing their shit up to leave the hotel. You feel like it's gotta be really late at night at this time, right? Like an odd time to be leaving, unless you figure that they're on their way to the Cyberdyne plant to try to blow it up. Then it makes sense that they're like packing up to leave in the middle of the night. But we don't know that was like deleted scenes shit.
But I also think it's easier to hide in the dark, right? It's also
to make their getaway.
Yeah, it's also it's easier just to get away from. If you're running away, you usually run away at night, not at the middle of the day, unless you're a Terminator.
So it's at this moment that Reese gets real serious when he hears dog barking outside. It's a great payoff to the setup that's been like happening through the movie, where they basically say that dogs can detect a Terminator.
Sure,
basically, it gives them just enough warning. So we cut to Terminator vision walking up on this barking dog. There's all sorts of like gibberish type computer code popping up on the Terminator screen, but I appreciate the detail of it all. There's a man coming out, getting in his pickup truck to, he sees the Terminator, he's steering clear of him. What the fuck was that dude doing at this hour? He's probably like going to get more drugs.
It was a Fleabag hotel. There's no telling what was going on in that.
Oh, he's probably selling drugs out of the room or something.
Yeah, honestly, there could have been. Yeah, there was probably another murder taking place next door.
Another murder.
Yeah,
he just killed a prostitute.
Yeah, he just killed a prostitute. That was the BTK killer.
Oh my god.
And
yeah. So the Terminator kicks in the door of the room, starts just shooting up the place, but the room is empty. Now, how did the Terminator know what room they're in?
Kevin, if you ask questions like that, you'll never get through this.
I gotta say, maybe they cut it short. Maybe he went in the office, the little booth, and checked the registry, or maybe
I can see that.
Maybe when he called the hotel, he asked what room is Sarah Connor staying in, or something. But
did they give out that information?
They wouldn't use their name. They'd be crazy.
You would think.
That's true.
You would think it would be John
mistakes,
and Mary Smith, right? I think there was just some things that Cameron just had to get through, right, to make the movie.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, and so, how did the Terminator find him? I mean, he found the hotel.
Kick in every door?
Yeah, he could have just been like how the famous, the cliched scene of, like, you kick in all the bathroom stalls.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been like that.
Shoot up every one. Why not?
I mean, he's a Terminator. What does he care?
Outside now, Reese and Sarah are there. Reese shoves the pickup truck driver off to the side. They get in his truck and take it. We don't really know why he was going out so late, but it's lucky for them that he was. Terminator hears this. He goes to the door. Reese has driven the truck and he plows it into the Terminator and then drives off. That truck was sweet, dude. we've mentioned before on this podcast, but like those fucking old 80s 4x4 trucks are like just badass.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it? Yeah. I wonder if can you damage the like so if Reese runs into the Terminator, right? Can he break
yeah, I would think you could break some mechanism in his leg or
and
whatever.
he
Yeah,
can't
he's
walk?
hobbling.
Because he
Well,
does
we
it
see
later.
when he crashes the truck. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's,
but
like,
it never
fucked up.
happens earlier in this film, right?
I mean, he damaged his arm when he wrecked into the wall.
But he just ran into him with a truck, right?
Yeah, I would think that would fuck him up a
break
little
his
bit.
leg or like knock his knee socket out of whack or something like that.
Some shit. Yeah, I don't know, but this particular crash didn't seem to really hurt him that much.
Mhm.
So the Terminator gets up and he runs to his motorcycle and chases after the truck. That is definitely not Arnold, the guy who like hopped on the motorcycle and did this rad motorcycle stunt
Sure.
and peeled out of there.
I'm a little surprised because you would think, like, again, this is early Arnold, right? And he would be just, they didn't care about the actors back then. I mean, I'm sure they did somewhat, but I feel like a lot of actors back then did more dangerous stunts than, especially like a guy like Arnold who's
On this type of budget, yeah, you're just coming up.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
if you're Arnold and it's like hard probably to find a good stunt double for you because the way you're built.
Unless there was like a reason that Arnold couldn't be there or something like that for that.
But they probably
shot.
brought in like a stunt driver to do like the car stunts, right? Or the motorcycle stunts.
Mhm.
So we're out on the road. Reese is weaving through traffic as the Terminator's quickly gaining ground on him. He was driving this motorcycle. It was a Honda CB750. Like I looked it up. It's a small type motorcycle, top speed 125 miles an hour, but probably quick enough that it could catch that truck.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Most
motorcycles can catch a car or a truck for sure.
Think about how much a Terminator must weigh. Like in Dark Fate, the most recent one that came out, they say that the Terminator weighs 400 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. In the Sarah Connor Chronicles show, which I never watched, I think they said that a Terminator weighs 640 pounds.
I've always thought that was pretty cool that these androids or cyborgs just weigh like almost 1,000 pounds, but they don't look like they weigh 1,000 pounds.
But
so
like
you
gotta think this little bike is probably struggling with that much weight. It's like 3 or 4 dudes on it, you know.
Yeah.
Struggling up those hills.
Yeah.
The Terminator, man, he's just shooting indiscriminately at this truck with a machine gun. And Sarah holds out the pipe bombs to Reese, like, hey, man, let's use them. Reese is like, trade places. And so Sarah gets behind the wheel. Reese jumps over. They start going through this long tunnel, which you get in a lot of movies. I feel like the same ass tunnel. It's like, it's somewhere in downtown LA. It's the 2nd Street Tunnel, I read. It's in a ton of movies, but it was like, I think in Blade Runner and some other famous movies.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't in Terminator 2.
I feel like people who like live in Los Angeles and know the geography must recognize this tunnel.
Well, is it as famous as those water channels in LA? You know, they always film scenes.
Like everything, yeah, the LA River.
Yeah, they always film scenes down there.
The tunnel where they filmed this is like 1 block over from where the Terminator plowed his car into the wall. I just wonder if people who know LA are like, oh yeah, those.
Oh yeah,
they probably filmed them like on back-to-back nights.
I guarantee you go on YouTube and find somebody who's going to all the Terminator locations.
And they did this shit again in this scene that you like, where they sort of sped the speed of the film up to make it looks like Mad Max Road Warrior style.
Like they're probably driving 20, but it makes it look like they're on 80.
Yeah. It's kind of great though. Like the kinetic energy of it is like nice. It's like that Benny Hill type shit as well.
Yeah.
So Reese begins lighting fuses and leaning out the window to toss these bombs at the Terminator. He keeps like just barely missing him. Like he can't quite time it up perfectly. And when you're watching close, like you can see that the explosive charges are like embedded on the road. You know? But it is what it is, right? So he tosses out 4 bombs. He lights the 5th one. And then he gets hit with a gunshot, I guess, from the Terminator.
Sure.
It's hard to tell what happened, like, or where he got hit. Like,
it gets
like the bullet went through the back windshield, and it could have hit him like in the hip or the ass.
I felt like he got hit in the side, like he was like hanging out the window and got hit in the side.
At any rate, the bomb almost blows up in his hand, and Sarah pulls Reese back into the truck. The Terminator runs out of bullets with his machine gun. He tosses that to the side and just pulls out a pistol and starts shooting. Now it's nearly point blank range as he's pulled up like right behind the truck. And there's that great shot where he sees Sarah's reflection like in the mirror and shoots the mirror.
You know, I was going to ask you this earlier. Do you think Terminators get frustrated?
Like why won't you die?
Yeah, or they've just been trying to kill their target for so long, and they keep evading them. Do you think
Some are tougher than
Yeah. Do you think they get frustrated, or is it just like
because
I feel like the Terminator in this movie is starting to get frustrated. Like he's
you
literally
felt that way.
Like he's starting to get angry, right? Like
I don't know. I never felt like he was pissed off or frustrated. I just felt like he was on his mission, I guess.
Yeah, I just it feels to me like in T2, he like the Terminator in that, the bad Terminator, always keeps like an even keeled facial expression.
Oh,
although he does
you feel
make
like
that.
Arnold was letting his face.
Yeah,
slip?
I kind of feel like Arnold was.
Oh, I gotta watch again. I gotta watch again to see.
You see like tinges of anger in his,
but because
like there was a couple of times.
This is probably his first ever mission, right? This particular Terminator.
Possibly, yeah.
So he has nothing really to compare it to, but you got to think like he's probably thinking, man, it's hard to kill these guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like I would think that I think the Terminator is like getting frustrated. I don't think he's on any kind of like a clock or anything like that. Like, he gets the job done when he gets the job done.
But if his flesh and all that shit's starting to rot, like it probably is, he might recognize it's going to be harder and harder for me to blend in and sneak up, you know?
But I thought his flesh didn't rot because they had one that was like 40 years old.
Yeah,
and this has been 2 days.
This dude's, maybe because he's gotten some damage.
Yeah.
Like the skin's been broken.
Well, yeah, he can't
like
cover
that.
up the eye,
like,
right?
Yeah. He had to cut his arm open and everything like that. I don't know. But Terminator's pulled his bike up right beside the truck. Sarah jerks the wheel, pins the Terminator in between the truck and the guardrail. Terminator crashes, and then the truck like hits the center median and flips over. It's another great car crash.
Mm-hmm.
If she hadn't flipped that truck, I feel like it would have been over. Like they would have gotten away with it, right? Like they were home free if she didn't flip the truck over. But you know, Sarah sees the Terminator start to move again. She's trying to get Reese to get up and get moving. Like the truck's rolled over on its roof or something, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator gets up just in time to get plowed into by this tanker truck.
Yeah, and there was like
brutal.
2 guys in that truck. And how did they not see the Terminator in the middle of the street?
Yeah, he like looks up, he's like, huh?
Yeah,
and then he gets like just smashed.
No, it's a great shot, right? But then he goes up under the truck, right?
He's getting like dragged.
And he
shit.
grabs onto the truck to save himself, right?
He was getting fucked up under there. The tanker driver, he tells the other guy, they pull over. He tells the other dude to stay in the cab. I'm going to go check it out. And who was that other dude? Like, who was the other dude? A hitchhiker or like a fucking male prostitute or something? Like, you don't just roll with some dude in your truck. I don't think.
It was like a
younger
semi
dude.
truck, right?
It was like a big gas tanker or something.
Oh yeah,
and there was like a trucker looking dude, and then this young pretty boy riding shotgun.
I think it was just another trucker with him.
I'm projecting my own shit on
You might be. We might have to have a talk after this podcast.
But so the driver, he goes back to the rear of the tanker, and Terminator grabs him. I assume he kills him.
Oh yeah, because he punches him.
He just sort of wrestles him to the ground, and the dude just is motionless.
Yeah, but
I mean, he snapped his neck or some shit.
Yeah, because if the Terminator punches you, like you at the very least, you got like 3 broken ribs, and
I assume once the Terminator gets those hands on you, like you're probably done for. Like he just crushes bones in his hands.
I don't. Yeah, his objective is just to kill, right? He's a killing machine.
He needs to get this truck.
Sure.
So Terminator's now like dragging this one limp leg that he's got. He goes up to the cab and gets in. The passenger looks over at the Terminator and he's in shock. Like half the flesh on Terminator's face is gone now.
Yeah, honestly, that one shot is better than the other effects earlier.
It's amazing makeup effects.
Yeah,
I think it was Stan Winston shit.
Sure, that makeup was really good.
Yeah, he's got like half his face is metal. He's got the one glowing red eye.
Mm-hmm.
That work is incredible. Although I've seen shots of Arnold with the makeup on, and like I feel like the red glow from the eye is something that was maybe a special effect added afterwards, like a visual effect or some shit. Terminator says, "Get out." Which is also a line that turns up in subsequent Terminator movies.
Mm.
Like when T2 is in the helicopter,
Yeah,
and he tells dude, get out.
Yeah,
And he just jumps out of the helicopter.
if somebody like liquefies and then enters when they say get out, I'm gonna get out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
jump out of a helicopter, or I'm gonna jump out of the truck.
So I was watching this shit on Amazon. And does your Amazon have this feature where if you pause, like it'll tell you what actors are in this scene
X-ray.
and stuff like this? Yeah, X-ray
X-ray.
is called. The X-ray for this movie on this scene tells you that dude riding in the car is David Hyde Pierce.
No way.
But it's not him. I looked that up. That is not true. So X-ray got it wrong on Amazon.
How do you know this?
I looked it up because on the credits it's credited as another dude. It's like the guy who was the dolly grip.
Wait, whoa. The guy
movie.
that was not even the truck driver, the guy sitting beside him?
I somehow, I can't remember what I looked up because it was a few weeks ago, but it says that like that dude, I think it was, is like uncredited.
I was about to say, they gave him a name?
I clicked on his name and he was like the dolly grip on the movie. So that makes a lot more sense than that it was David Hyde Pierce. But it does look a little bit like David Hyde Pierce.
I'd have to see it again.
Yeah, you might want to check that out. But it was kind of amusing to me. So the Terminator, he gets the big rig moving, turns it around, and starts driving back towards the wrecked truck. In Terminator vision, like we see these like sort of schematics of how the truck works.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like almost like Matrix when they're like, show me a program of how to drive this helicopter or whatever.
Because it shows like the gear shift,
It shows the shifter and like how to work it and everything
Sure.
like that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever driven a truck like that before?
No.
I did. It's pretty. It's pretty powerful, man.
Do you have to is it like a double clutch or something? Or?
Yeah, it's like a double clutch. Yeah.
See, I've never driven that.
After college, I worked as a mover. I worked for a moving company, and there was all big trucks that came in there all the time, right?
Yeah.
One day I got into a truck and somebody let me drive it. It's like you're up there, man. Like,
is the horsepower crazy on this thing?
I don't remember that part of it. I just remember being like, holy, like
you feel like king of the road?
Yeah, like you're up there, dude. It's kind of crazy.
That's awesome. So Sarah, she's desperately trying to get Reese, who's barely conscious, back into the fight. She's trying to drag him out of the wrecked truck as the tanker is like rolling right up on him. She gets him out of the truck a split second before it just gets demolished by the tanker. Man, trucks, I feel like trucks in movies are always hauling something cool. It's always like
cool, like a coolant, or like
no, it's always liquid nitrogen, or it's gasoline, or it's like a fucking a truck hauling Ferraris, or whatever. Like it's never just a shitty truck.
Or it's like produce. There's
it's
always
a truck of watermelons that's gonna flip over and spill heads of lettuce everywhere, or whatever.
It's one of the two. It's never a middle ground, right?
Yeah, it's like
it's never a milk truck or something.
Think about
like
the
that.
Matrix where like it's a truck hauling Ducati motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's always just something cool.
Yeah.
But so Sarah and Reese, they hobble away as the Terminator swings the truck around for another run. They're both like gimpy as hell. It's an amazing shot as they're running down the bridge and you can see the tanker coming up behind them like over the hill.
Yep.
Everything about that shot was awesome. You could see the fucking glowing red eye inside the cab of the truck.
I wonder when you film shots like that, because I was looking at a scene from The World According to Garp last night. Like they're getting chased by a guy in a truck, right?
Uh-huh.
How do you film those scenes? Because
it's dangerous. You mean
yeah, because they're really running away from a truck that's really driving down the street, right?
I feel like probably they had the camera like far away with a long lens, and it made it seem closer than it was.
They're actually like 100 yards away from it.
Oh yeah, but it was 100 yards or more behind them. Mm-hmm. But it looks amazing. It does look amazing. Mm-hmm. They reach the end of this bridge that they're on just in time to duck out of the way before the tanker runs them over. Reese falls down again beside this dumpster. He tells Sarah to keep on going. So as the truck slows down to turn, Reese lights the fuse on the sixth pipe bomb. They had 7 total. So this is like, he's got 1 left in his pocket, but lights the fuse on bomb number 6, tucks it into this little nook on the tanker. I don't know what that little nook is, if that exists, if they put it on the truck just for the movie so that he had someplace to stick the bomb.
No clue.
But yeah, he slides into this little tube on the truck.
And a good shot, too. Like, this is a moving truck, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, tosses it in like literally a space that was literally big enough in the pipe bomb itself. So good shot.
Then Reese dives himself into the dumpster to hang out as the fuse is burning down. Fuse is fucking taking forever to burn down as well. Sarah manages to stay like just a few steps ahead of the
Man,
tanker.
what an intense moment. So I watch this one show on YouTube called Cinema Sins, and
Okay.
he likes to call this the Prometheus school of running away from things, because everybody always just runs away from things in a straight line, right?
Yeah, no zigzags.
Yeah, they never do the zigzag
A serpentine, running a serpentine.
yeah,
line.
they never do the zigzag or run to the like just do a hard left cut or anything like that. So it's kind of, I mean, I guess she did run around a building, but
It was fucking. This scene was just like you said. It was crazy. The music,
mhm.
everything about it,
Really
super
intense.
intense.
Yeah.
There's this one shot where you can tell it's a model, and you can see the little like fishing line pulling the model truck along.
hmm
But for the most part, the effects on this are like so good, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Sure.
Even when the bomb blows up and like the tanker goes up in this spectacular explosion, which I think was a model.
Clear, like a rear projection
Yeah,
shot.
but it looks incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the shot was like this miniature truck. They had it rigged up like it was this 1/6 size model or some shit like that.
So
It looked awesome.
Real quick, I feel like, so if you were to do like a rear projection shot now, right? You're doing it for a reason, right? You're like, that's like in Pulp Fiction, he was doing it for a reason, right? He was like homage to those type films,
Yeah.
right? But when you did it back then, were you literally doing it because that's your only choice? Like, you obviously couldn't have a tanker blow up in behind your actors.
This was probably the really first days where green screen might have been a thing, an option. But I think James Cameron knew, like on a budget that he had, this was
they had
like
no choice, right?
This
That's
was
what he
his
had to
best
do.
option, and he knew. I think if you set the scene at night in the dark, it looks pretty fucking good.
Mhm.
Like he did rear screen in the future, right, for those future scenes, and then in this scene,
It's
all
just
that
easier,
shit was
right?
at night, and it looked it always looked pretty good.
Yeah, I wonder if that's frustrating to a, because like remember Airplane, the movie Airplane. There's like a really famous scene where he's driving and there's like doing like a rear projection behind him,
It's like a joke,
but it's a
what's
joke,
happening?
right? Yeah. So I wonder if film directors are like just like Cameron. To me, seems like a kind of guy who's like really serious about filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
So I bet he tried to do like everything he could to really have a truck blow up behind, and they were just like, "No, we can't do that." So he had to do the rear projection.
and with a model
Yeah.
explosion and stuff like that.
So it's gotta be frustrating to him, right?
The way it exploded though was amazing. Like the way it went like back to front, like
Sure.
it started explode in the
Yeah.
back and it rolled forward to the front of the truck.
Mhm.
I did see where, and when I lend you my DVD, you can watch. Like this was the second attempt. The first time I think they were doing it
Mhm.
when they yanked the model to get it rolling forward, like it just yanked the front axle off the truck, so it just sort of sat there and blew up.
Gotcha.
And they were like, "Well, we do have one other model. Like, we
Oh,
built
man.
2 of them, so we got to
Yeah.
get it right the second time."
I mean, that's one of the better film explosions because it explodes all over the place, right? Like it falls on Reese's dumpster.
yeah, the burning gasoline
Yeah,
or whatever,
I kind of feel like Reese would have died.
cooked up in there.
Yeah, he would have been heated to death.
Oh my god. But Sarah ducks behind the corner of the building, like to avoid all this fiery debris that's falling all over the place. We see now Reese climbs out of the dumpster, which is covered in flames. Terminator climbs out of the burning wreckage and collapses in the flames. He's laying motionless for a while as it burns up. Sarah looks like relieved, like, oh my god, it's over.
Yeah.
We gotta know this can't be the end. Right?
So now we start getting into the horror film, if you will, part of because this is definitely like Jason,
like slasher,
Michael
type stuff.
Myers, like the villain that just won't die.
I had read where Orion, the production company, had asked James Cameron, like, can we just, to save money, like, can the movie just end right here? And he was like, no.
No.
How is the fire kills it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's like you know what I mean? But it really doesn't make much sense. Like, why did that even slow the Terminator down? Why did she think it would stop the Terminator? And why did it even slow it down? Why did it even collapse?
Wait,
You
so
know?
I don't think it was the fire that slowed him down. I think it was the explosion.
Okay, it was like he's just rattled.
He's
or stunned
he's probably
or
just
something?
he just He's indestructible, but he
Was it like Nintendo? Like you need to blow in the cartridge and get him going again.
Exactly.
Like...
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So Sarah walks up to the burning wreck to take a closer look because she thinks it's safe.
Again, man.
Reese emerges from the smoke, like calling her name out. They sort of hug and they fall to their knees.
It's over. It's over.
That shit looked like it hurt too when they dropped to your knees on asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
But
right. Yeah.
and Reese has got to know better than this. Like he's got to know it's not over.
Well, that dude
he's done this shit before.
And he just had his bell rung. So I mean, they're just
he's concussed.
Yeah, they're just happy to be alive. They're not really thinking straight at this moment.
So in that moment, the Terminator rises up out of the flames. It's that hyper alloy combat chassis that Reese had described. It's like this completely metallic looking like skeleton.
Yeah, and it looks just like
evil.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is that how they designed him?
It's crazy. Stan Winston, he said in an interview like that he loves taking credit for the Terminator, but that James Cameron, like the entire look of this thing came from sketches from James Cameron.
I mean, it's.
He said he kept asking James Cameron, like, so how would the shoulder connect to the body? What would the arms look like? What would the rib cage look like? And Cameron would give him these detailed drawings, and then he'd basically just build that.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Look up the image.
Yeah,
he's badass, man. Everything about him.
Look at that thing. Look how evil that looks. It looks like the devil. It looks like the devil.
It's fucking badass. To this day, it's amazing looking.
Yeah,
it still looks futuristic.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
It's a great design. So Sarah can't believe her eyes as she sees the Terminator. Reese gets up and starts dragging her along. The Terminator struggles out of the wreckage. He's dragging that damaged leg that he's got. Sarah and Reese, they break into this large industrial type building.
What kind of building? Do we know what kind of building that is?
In real life?
Yeah.
In real life, it was a car plant. Like a car.
Oh, but do we know what it was in the movie?
It's the Cyberdyne building.
That's the Cyberdyne building?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. So I thought it was just like a random warehouse. Because I always thought Cyberdyne was, well, I guess it was robotics, right?
Yeah.
So, God, how lucky did they get, right?
What
But they were on their way there, right?
Well, they were on, that's the whole plot of the movie that got chopped out, is they were on their way there to try to blow it up.
So now I feel like you got to put that back.
You should have.
Yeah.
It would have been incredible. And it's like the whole reason why Cyberdyne ends up getting these Terminator parts is because they led the Terminator
Exactly.
there.
That's, now you got to put that scene back.
You should have had it in there.
Because it makes no sense that they just happen to end up at Cyberdyne.
That's like the biggest coincidence in the
in
history of the world. No, they were on their way on purpose to try to blow it up.
Yeah, I want that DVD.
It would have worked well even to leave that part in. Even if in the second movie you still have them saying, well, we should try to blow up Cyberdyne.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but he didn't know that he was about to, because the second movie came out several years later,
yeah,
right?
Like 7
So it's not
years.
like he knew then that they were going to make a second movie. I'm sure he wanted to,
not.
right?
He should have included that. It would have added.
It would have taken away from the second movie.
It would have made the ending that much more satisfying, I think.
It would
have it be the holy shit, they like led the thing.
Sure.
Because there's a scene, it's on the DVD, where the Cyberdyne guys are like holding the wreckage and they're like, look at this shit.
Well, now let me ask you this. In the not the cut scenes, but in the movie, do you know it's Cyberdyne?
No.
Do you just think it's a random warehouse, right?
Yeah, they never say what it is. It's just some industrial building.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like just an industrial building. I didn't know it was Cyberdyne.
Yeah, they break into this building. Terminator's hobbling along behind them through like these long hallways. This part of the movie now is like stop motion animation.
Yeah.
Which is like, it looks a little corny now, but I bet it was like the only option that they had.
What else could you do? And you said they were going down these long hallways, but they were also very tight spaces too.
It's like a horror movie, like you said. It feels like horror.
Yeah.
At the end of the hallway, Reese and Sarah, they pull this heavy metal door behind them and like latch it closed. Right as the Terminator's like getting there, it seems very clear. I guess this door's not going to hold the Terminator back for long, though.
Which is the first time the Terminator displays this amount of strength.
Oh yeah, he's like banging in the door.
Yeah, because he knocks like this heavy metal door down, right?
Yeah, they're in some type of factory. Reese starts turning on all the machinery. It's like all the automated robotics kind of like start to come to life. He explains to Sarah that the motion is going to make it harder for the Terminator to track them. Reese collapses again as the Terminator begins to break the door down. It's hard to tell what Reese's injury is supposed to be.
One
He
of
seemed to be
several.
doing just fine earlier. Now he's like losing consciousness.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
adrenaline.
he's probably losing a lot of blood. He's probably shot through his
He's been
side or through
shot.
his hip or something.
He got blown up. He was all the heat in the garbage can.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been through the ringer, right?
So Sarah, she's like pleading with him, like to get up. Come on, let's go. She sees the Terminator's punched a hole through the door and he's like almost got it open. That's when Sarah really flips that switch into like badass mode.
Yeah, that's when that's when she becomes Sarah.
Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like move it, Reese, on your feet, soldier. All that shit. Reese gets up. Sarah helps to drag him along as the Terminator gets the door open and he enters the factory floor. This isn't just the location is an amazing location. Like we've all seen, I think, 100 movies where they're in a warehouse or a factory, and it's like it never looks this good. Like,
yeah, I feel like Cameron got a hold of like one of those new fancy back then, like all automated warehouses. You know,
Yeah.
that would be like if somebody filmed a movie now at Google or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
or Facebook or something.
So the Terminator is looking around for Sarah, but it's thrown off by all the moving machines and robots and all that. Sarah and Reese, they're trying to hide, but Sarah accidentally hits this button like that activates this hydraulic press. It nearly crushes her.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, the existence of the hydraulic press has been established. The Terminator seems drawn to that particular sound.
Out
for
of
some reason.
yeah, I mean, I will say this is a very good Terminator, right?
Oh yeah, he's expert.
Yeah.
So Sarah and Reese, they're looking for a way out. Reese picks up this metal rod that's just lying around in there for some reason. They hit a dead end. They turn around to go back and see that the Terminator's there. He's got him cornered. Reese and Sarah, they slowly back their way up this staircase, like onto a catwalk above the factory floor. Reese tells Sarah to run while he attempts to hold off the Terminator. Sarah, she's reluctant, but she does, I guess, leave Reese to his own devices. Reese starts teeing off on the Terminator with this metal rod. Now, Sarah's gone like whatever down the steps and then stopped to watch. And it's like, keep running.
Also,
Sarah,
I feel
please.
like we had just established earlier that the Terminator's weigh like a minimum of like 400 pounds, right?
Yeah, sure.
And the way Reese is hitting the Terminator's head, it's kind of like knocking it around.
ding.
I feel like it wouldn't have done that much damage, right? Like
You've seen this thing you're never gonna beat him to death.
Yeah, I feel like Reese hitting him.
He's just trying to slow him down.
He shouldn't even I feel like he shouldn't have been affected by Reese hitting. This is like a mere mortal, a mere mortal that has just gotten shot, blown up, all this other stuff. So he doesn't have the strength.
So you feel like it shouldn't even like knock his head outside at all?
I mean, it made more sense when T2 did it, but it makes no sense for Reese to have that power.
What's funny is like, yeah, to me, I think whatever. Sarah's caught feelings, so she can't bring herself to just abandon Reese.
And that's the soldier in her, right? Like that's like the motto
leave
of
no man behind.
Yeah, that's the motto of the soldiers: leave no man behind. So I see that. Yeah.
Reese is wailing on the Terminator, but it's not really damaging him at all. Then Terminator knocks that rod out of Reese's hand and hits him with this like epic bitch slap. He like hits him with the backhand.
Yeah, I mean he should be dead, right? He should
have snapped your neck, whatever,
or knocked his jaw
broken your
off.
skull.
Yeah, he should be dead.
Yeah. But anyway, Reese, as the Terminator's like looming over him, he produces that one last pipe bomb, and Reese is gonna fucking go out like a champion. Reese lights the fuse and he sticks it up in the Terminator's rib cage, and it explodes. It blows the Terminator to bits.
Now the Terminator recognized the fact that he had a bomb in him too, right?
I think he did
because he was scrambling to get it out of him.
And see like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I mean, do Terminators recognize explosives? Like,
I think he's smart enough to have learned. He's seen.
Well, he had seen the
other bombs.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe he knew what it was. I think Sarah gets hit in the leg by like a piece of shrapnel or something off the Terminator.
Yeah.
She pulls the shrapnel like out of her leg, which I feel like you're not supposed to do. Like if something's stuck in you, you're supposed to leave it.
Yeah, because you don't bleed out. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think Cameron wanted to show how badass she was at this point.
Yeah, she's a fucking champ.
Wait a minute, did she pull it out and then she wrap it, or she just pulled it out?
I think she pulls out and starts crawling or whatever. She goes over to Reese and she like sees that he's been killed in the explosion. I feel like it would have been more emotional if Reese wasn't like already dead. You know, if he was like
his last
had one last breath or something to say like something to her. I don't know.
I'm the father.
I'm your baby daddy.
Yeah.
But as it is, he's already like all bloody and just clearly dead.
Mm-hmm.
So just the upper half of the Terminator snaps back to life and it starts grabbing at Sarah.
Michael Myers, man.
Yeah,
Jason
you can't
Voorhees.
kill him, dude. Sarah starts crawling away as the Terminator's dragging itself off, like behind her, just inches behind, you know? I think this was the vision that Cameron had that was his first inspiration for the Terminator. Was like, what if there was like half a metal skeleton with a butcher knife like crawling after a woman?
Just try to kill you. Like, because humans don't have the capacity to just keep going and keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
But this machine does.
Oh, yeah, it will never stop.
Yeah.
But so Sarah, she drops down onto this conveyor belt. The Terminator's following along behind her. At the end of the belt, there's this hydraulic press that we saw earlier. She squeezes through that. The Terminator's also following her. I don't think I buy that the Terminator would be able to even get a grip, you know, like on the sheer metal.
Sure, yeah.
That he's on. He's still dragging himself along. I don't think that.
Because he has like almost like ball bearings and stuff for fingers.
You don't have any flesh, any skin to get a grip on some.
Unless he got you wouldn't be able to like, you know how like sometimes as a human you can kind of like finger something and like pull it towards you.
I do know.
You know what I'm saying? Finger something and pull it towards you.
Sure.
But he doesn't have that power.
No, I wouldn't think so.
He doesn't have the power to finger Sarah.
But yeah, she crawls out the other side of the hydraulic press and pulls down the little safety cage thing. Terminator reaches his one good arm through the cage and is like grabbing at her.
Still like gonna kill you.
You feel like if that thing touches her, like if it gets his fingers on her, like she's dead.
It did, didn't it? It was like it was pulling at her collar,
like it got her clothes, like
it was pulling at her or something like that.
You feel like as soon as that thing like got a grip on her at all, like it just crushed her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah, as it's reaching for her throat, Sarah's able to like sort of blindly reach around and find that button that she hit by accident earlier. It closes the press. She says, "You're terminated, fucker."
Yeah, man.
Hits the button. That line, I always thought it was like a little bit clunky.
Really?
Like it should have either just been like on TV. The TV edit version was just like "You're terminated."
Yeah. Which
is to me good, or like I don't know, "You're terminated, motherfucker," or something.
I think
like
saying terminated fucker is like generic. I mean, not generic, but organic. Like I feel like that's what you would say, right? Like if you were in that moment, like you wouldn't say some kind of a cliche like line, you know, "You're terminated." You wouldn't say that, like.
Yeah.
So I feel like
that was all the emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she ad-libbed that line, but I feel like that's something that a real person would say in that scenario.
But so the press, it crushes the life out of the Terminator. We see all that blue lightning effects as like the energy is being released or some shit. So much blue lightning.
Yeah.
But I feel like Sarah's probably lucky she can get like killed by the lightning or something. I don't know. We see that glowing red eye goes dark. This is that little final close-up of the eye was a thing that they like, I think designed on the fly after the fact, where they said like it was literally like two pieces of foam board pressing down on tinfoil, and they had rigged up a little light bulb that was on a dimmer, and some dude was like just off screen like blowing cigarette smoke into the frame. Like it was so like guerrilla style to get that one last shot
I think
or
that's
whatever.
awesome, man.
I know, I love those stories.
Yeah.
So Sarah is like, she's trembling as she removes the Terminator, like kind of had his hand on her shoulder just about. That arm would go on to play a major role in Terminator 2.
Kind of, propels the franchise in a whole direction.
And like the CPU chip or whatever they recover. So cut to, Sarah's on a gurney. Paramedics are checking her out.
Well, real quick, it kind of goes back to the chicken and the egg thing, right? Like you were talking about.
Yeah, like how did
they got the chip from
a Terminator?
A Terminator, so which is what helped them build
how did it exist
future Terminators.
It makes you wonder, like, how does it all work?
Yeah, it's
But you just have to accept that it's like a loop.
sure.
I feel like this is the only way it can happen.
It makes sense within the movie. It doesn't make sense in real life.
True. In
Yeah.
movie logic, like it's
Yeah.
just the only way it can happen.
It
No
makes
matter what
total
would
sense.
happen, it was always going to end
Yeah.
this way, right? So yeah, cut to Sarah's on a gurney. Paramedics are attending to her. She's watching as they zip Reese up in his body bag. That body bag, that shot was also filmed like after the fact, like a pickup shot where they had Michael Biehn come out, and I think they just like sort of put a suit bag, like a garment bag, over him and zipped it up over
Sure.
him on the hood of a car or something like that. I love stories like that though, like of how low budget this shit was. So Sarah, she gets wheeled away and put in the back of an ambulance, and they never show it on screen, as we mentioned, but this factory is meant to be the Cyberdyne building.
Yeah, I think
There's deleted scenes where they make it very clear, like these two Cyberdyne employees come down and secretly put a computer chip in their pocket that they found.
Yeah, but I feel like if you did that, then you're trying to say, well, there's going to be a sequel, right?
Yeah.
And T2 didn't come out till several years after this, so maybe they just weren't sure if they were going to have a sequel, you know?
But I feel like that shit should have stayed in.
No,
like, because the dudes are like saying like they stick that chip in their pocket and they're like, we got to get this to like our research and development guys right away.
I'm actually anxious to see that scene because
it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy thing that you get in time travel movies where like all the shit that you do to try to prevent a thing from happening, like make sure that it happens.
Yeah.
You know, I love that stuff though. So then, all right, cut to several months later, like probably 7 months, 8 months.
Well, yeah,
Sarah's pretty pregnant.
She's pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah, very pregnant. Sarah Connor and her dog are driving through the desert. I love that she got herself a dog.
Yeah.
As well, like to detect future Terminators. She's speaking into this tape recorder. She's saying it's tape 7, November 10th. So that's like 6 months after I think when the movie started. We see that Sarah, she's visibly pregnant. She's also got this big revolver sitting on her lap, like right next to her pregnant belly.
Is she in Mexico at this point?
I think she's in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, because she couldn't just drive around like Arizona.
No, she's got to get off the grid, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan. I found it a problem that she has the gun pressed right up against her pregnant belly as she's driving along. I feel like you would do that differently now.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's like saying basically, John, you're going to have to be born into a world of guns. You know,
I can see that.
Like kind of symbolic.
She's making these tapes for like the unborn John to fill him in on everything he's going to need to know for the future. So yeah, we see she's in Mexico. She pulls off the highway to put some gas in her Jeep.
Real quick, why is she doing that? Like, why couldn't she have just told John when he's born? Or is she doing that because in case she's killed and he's born?
I think there's probably that, and also like
why is she
maybe
making
these
tapes?
are tapes that he can keep with him even if they get separated, like because he might need to listen to them 30 years from now.
Sure.
I don't know. I never thought about that though.
Because obviously he can't.
She'll be around presumably when he's a kid to tell him.
Yeah, but he'll never understand those tapes until he's.
But you're right. It probably is a thing
12.
of just in case something happens to me.
I'm documenting.
You're gonna
everything.
need to know about Reese. Like you're gonna need to know about this shit.
Yeah.
So she pulls her Jeep over to the side of the road to put some gas in it. That fucking Jeep that she was driving was fire, man.
Well, yeah, well, it wasn't
that
a
shit was
Jeep.
amazing. It was like a Wrangler with a lift kit on it.
Yeah, it was
like
nice.
I think
they have money in the budget to get that Jeep, right?
Yeah, where'd she get that shit? She wonders out loud if she should tell him about Reese being his father. And she reckons that, I guess she better tell him so that he'll know that it has to be Reese that gets sent back in time.
Yeah. And so that was they set this up so perfectly.
So, yeah, it's like this complicated thing, though, right? Like, would it be better for her to not say anything and just let it play itself out? Because apparently, like, you give someone too much information about the future and maybe you risk that it gets screwed up.
Yeah,
like,
I think you don't tell.
If you don't say anything, then it should play out the way it was meant to play out.
Yeah, I don't think you tell Reese anything. I think you just...
And that's got to be hard. It's that chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah, it's got to be hard, but you don't tell Reese anything.
I have this theory, like, which came first? Like, how could John exist to send Reese back if Reese hadn't already been sent back to be the dad?
Well, it's kind of like a giant circle, right?
Yeah.
But you just don't know where you get onto that circle, right?
Yeah,
You don't know where the entrance is.
Yeah. No, I have a theory that it wouldn't matter who John Connor's dad is. Like any child of Sarah Connor was going to be the
Sure.
person to save humanity
Absolutely, yeah.
because she has it in her to, to raise that
Yeah,
person
absolutely. I
to be
agree.
the savior.
Yeah, Reese being the dad is just like a
Like I feel like any child she raised, boy, girl, whatever, like was going to be the person who saved the world.
sure. I totally agree with that.
I'll roll with that. But so yeah, as this old man who's working the gas station pumps her gas, she continues to make her recording with the tape. She talks about how much she loved Reese. And as she's doing that, that's when this young boy snaps her picture with the Polaroid camera. And the boy slickly is like trying to sell her the picture, telling her that, my dad's gonna beat me if I don't get some money for this picture.
I kind of believe that. Like, I know he's like a little kid hustler, but I kind of believe
You
that.
think he was gonna catch a beating?
Yeah, I kind of believe he's going to catch a beating if he didn't sell that picture.
So Sarah haggles him from $5 down to $4 and takes the picture. And that's where we see that it's the same picture that Reese had in the future. Amazing payoff.
Yeah. And so, so she gave the picture to John, and John gave it. Yeah, well, I still
Picture
think
to Reese.
the Reese.
And Reese is like, I always wondered what you were thinking about in that
Yeah,
picture. 'cause
that's
you
a powerful moment.
You look sad. You look like this, but sad.
But she was really thinking
She was thinking about him.
She was thinking about him.
Like, I feel like
Powerful.
the love was real
Yeah.
between those two. It's amazing to me.
It kind of feels like, I don't know. It kind of feels like something that like a first year writer would write. It kind of hokey, but
It works.
But it
though,
works.
Somehow.
Yeah, but it really works. Yeah.
I feel like the whole plot, like you said, it's a circle. The whole thing has come full circle, and it's everything is paid off. Everything that's happened in the moment, like in the movie, has been like, oh, it's like all of that shit paid off to make the future what it needs to be.
And that's one of the cool parts about making a time travel movie, because you do know what happens in the future and you can relate it back to the past.
Yeah. So the kid runs off. He turns back and he yells something in Spanish. Sarah asks, what did he say? And the gas station guy says, he said there's a storm coming. And she looks and says, I know, which is a little bit corny.
Gas station. What the fuck I just said there.
I know.
That's a bad storm. Does she drive into it though?
Yeah, kind of. She drives off into the unknown. We got the thunder is rumbling. Yeah, there's like, I feel like it was a matte painting or something. Storm cloud.
I mean, that was like a storm, right? It was like a giant, like one of those sandstorms you see in like the desert
like the
or
Mad
something.
Max shit.
Yeah, it was like that was a storm.
But I feel like that was the very last shot that they filmed on the whole movie, was that bit. And there was an amazing story on the DVD where they said, we were going out in the middle of the desert to film just this shot of the Jeep driving down the highway. And they said, we spent all day setting up the tripod and everything like that and getting everything ready, waiting for the light to be just right. Not a single car had passed by like the whole day that we were out there in the desert. And right when we were getting ready to film, we saw like this speck on the road, like in the distance, like a car. And we're like, oh shit, well, okay, let's wait for the car to pass. And then somebody, I think jokingly, was like, wouldn't it be funny if it was a police car? And like, cop car rolls up and is like, what are you guys doing out here?
Oh man.
And the story goes that they were like, so the special effects guy or whatever had his son out there helping, and he said that the guy was like, my son's a film student at UCLA. We're helping him with a student film. We just need like 2 minutes. We'll be all done. And the policeman was like, oh, in that case, like, do you want me to hold traffic up for you while you shoot the shot? And so they stole that last shot with the police helping him out.
Honestly, I'm always like, who is that harming?
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, man, that was the final shot of the movie. It's like roll credits as she drives off into the storm, and that's the Terminator.
Yeah, don't you think? So I kind of felt like what he was trying to say in that storm is that the nuclear war had already started. It just got that sense. Like, I know the war hadn't actually started, but it just seems like that's what he was trying to say.
No, I think you're right. I think it's meant to be a symbol.
Yeah,
right?
the war
she's
started.
Driving into the storm.
Yeah.
So I love this movie. I got more notes to talk about like the production and shit like that. It seems like from hearing everyone talk like years later, that everyone knew this was going to be a great movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like the attitude was like, look, if we can just shoot what's in the script, like this can't miss.
Yeah.
you know. But it also sounds like that we're lucky that this movie ever got made.
Yeah, I have a feeling like when you make a movie like Terminator, when it's on a small budget, and I think you have a good story and you have great acting, but you can't realize the impact of films like that at the time. And I feel like I feel like when filmmakers say that, I think they're lying. It's like,
They knew it was going
yeah,
to be
like I
great.
feel like when you have like a big budget movie where you've put like 100 million into it, then you're like, yeah, this is really good. But like
Yeah.
when those small budget films, like it's almost like
when they really hit.
yeah, it's like a meme, right? You can never just tell what's gonna hit and what's not gonna hit, right?
I think if you know, like if you have, say, Pulp Fiction, right? Something that was done cheap, if you know that as long as nothing goes wrong, like if I can cast good actors, even if they're not like, it may not have to be Bruce Willis and like big stars, but if you can just get good actors in, that the script is so strong that there's no reason why it can't be really, really good.
No,
I
yeah,
guess.
like I said, I think that that you have a good story and a good actors, but I don't think that you know that the popularity, like Pulp Fiction, you said, like people are dissecting that film in college classes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think he ever expected that, right?
I don't know. I don't know what goes on in Tarantino's mind, but
True.
I
Yeah,
do think I feel like so basically James Cameron says that the way the story goes is he'd been on Piranha 2, had gotten fired off Piranha 2 because he was like trying to re-edit the movie like behind the back of the director. So he had been sent back to America. He was sleeping on the floor at his like friend's apartment. Um, he was flat ass broke with like nothing except the idea for the Terminator, which had come to him like in a fever dream while he was in Italy or some shit.
hmm
So he said he had worked with his buddy William Wisher to flesh it out, to work on like getting a full plot put together. He said the goal they had was to get the script that was so good that the studio would let him direct it. Um, think about like Stallone and doing Rocky, where he was like, his demand was that he got to star in it.
Sure. I
Like
mean,
he wouldn't sell it to a studio unless they let
could,
him
yeah.
play the part, right? So he knew this. Galen Hurd from like their Roger Corman days brought her on board to help him with rewrites and to help him try to sell the script to somebody. So as these stories always go, like no studio wanted to let Cameron direct the movie himself, right? But Cameron and Hurd, they knew some people at this new studio, Orion, that they could get the script to, and they loved it and said Cameron could direct it. He said there was this great story about how he was going to Orion to meet with the people, and Lance Henriksen was his buddy, who the idea was that Lance Henriksen was going to play the Terminator. So he said, he told Lance, show up with me for this meeting. I want you to like show them what the Terminator is going to be like. So Cameron was running late and Lance showed up early and was like sitting around in the lobby, like creeping everybody out.
I can see that.
Like that he had put this like metal foil on his teeth,
Sure.
like inside of his mouth or whatever, like that. It fucking freaked everybody out.
I would think in Hollywood though, that would be like, yeah.
But so yeah, he scared everybody. But then Schwarzenegger said that he had been brought in to meet Cameron with the idea being that Schwarzenegger was going to play the Reese character. It seemed like there was like a deal in place with Arnold and Orion that Arnold was going to star in an Orion movie, and this Terminator one seemed like the best fit. And so it was a thing of like Cameron didn't feel like that Arnold was going to be a good Reese.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he'd have never made a good
But he
Reese.
felt forced that he had to take this meeting because like Schwarzenegger was a rising star. Meanwhile, Schwarzenegger, he wanted to play the Terminator himself, but he said he felt like his handlers thought that he shouldn't be playing a villain like so early in his career. It'd be bad for him. So they met and they talked about the movie and all this, where each person thought the other person wanted for Schwarzenegger to play Reese, but apparently Cameron, like after talking with Schwarzenegger, he wanted Schwarzenegger to play the Terminator. He said that Schwarzenegger, when they were talking, Schwarzenegger said this should not be a man acting like a robot. It should be a robot acting like a man. And that like
Arnold said that?
Arnold said that. And that Cameron was like, oh, this guy gets it. Like he's my Terminator. So after the meeting, they both went their separate ways. They both wanted for Schwarzenegger to play the Terminator, but neither one like wanted to say it. You know, it was like a weird thing. So it was that thing of, I think, like Cameron's people called Schwarzenegger's people and said, well, would he be interested in being the Terminator?
Sure.
And then, you know, Schwarzenegger also said that Cameron sent him like a drawing of himself, like half Schwarzenegger's face and half his face was the Terminator skull. And like Schwarzenegger was like, oh, I am the Terminator. Like, I gotta play the fucking
Gotcha.
Terminator, man. So with Schwarzenegger attached, the movie was like gonna happen, but they cast the rest of the movie. They were doing all the pre-production shit. They were like scouting locations. They had the whole crew lined up. And then Dino De Laurentiis came in and said, well, I've got Schwarzenegger under contract to do another Conan movie. You know, so everything was put on hold for like a year while he went away to do Conan. And
Conan or Conan the Destroyer?
He did Conan the Destroyer, yeah. So Cameron said basically he was starving like during this time because he had no money coming in. But he said he used that time wisely. He like fine-tuned the script and like was going around and, you know, doing all the pre-production shit, like spending a whole year doing this stuff. He also took on a couple of writing jobs during this time. He wrote Rambo 2 and he wrote Aliens.
Wow.
While he was waiting for this year, because everyone had read the...
So he wasn't starving.
I think, but he didn't have that money until he turned in his scripts.
Sure.
But basically, Hollywood had read Terminator and was like, oh, this guy's a great writer. You know, so he got these awesome offers. So Cameron said they started filming a few weeks before Schwarzenegger was able to come and join them. Things were going okay, but, you know, we had the vultures that Orion were circling and being like, you know, this isn't great. Nothing's like looks great, whatever. But then once Schwarzenegger showed up and they started filming with Schwarzenegger there, they were like, I think they started filming that parking deck scene where like he was stalking them in the parking deck, and everyone was like, oh shit, this is working. Like, okay, everyone just stand back, let this dude Cameron do what he wants to do. But Orion still like viewed the movie as this like sort of low budget exploitation type flick.
Yeah, I totally get. Yeah, I see that. Right.
It's like this like horror movie slash sci-fi.
Yeah, like
slasher.
I said earlier, you take one step left and right in this movie, and it'll just been like some generic B movie from the 80s.
I think, you know, Cameron said Orion sort of viewed it as like something that's maybe going to play a few weeks, can hopefully double its money, and like it'll be forgotten about, you know. But like the critical response to the movie was incredible. Everyone was saying it was the best action movie to come out since The Road Warrior a few years before. And it was recognized that this was like the perfect movie, I think, for Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't have to talk too much. The fans fucking loved the shit.
Is he known for anything, I mean, more popular than Terminator?
That's got to be it for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like his biggest.
Terminator, yeah, then you would think like, you know, we got
Predator, but he only did one.
Or like a Total Recall or Kindergarten Cop, maybe some of the funny
it's really
shit.
Terminator.
But Terminator is like the one.
Yeah.
Like if you think Mel Gibson's tough. Do you think Lethal Weapon or do you think Mad Max?
I think Lethal Weapon.
And then those had to make more money.
Yeah.
And they came when he was like in his prime.
Sure, yeah.
But
Weapon.
like, this is it for him. Stallone's the
Harrison
same, right?
Ford.
I think Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones.
More than Harrison, more than Han Solo?
Oh, or more than Jack Ryan? Like, he did
2 Jack Ryan
He did 2
movies.
Jack Ryans. Yeah. It's tough. But Schwarzenegger, this has like been the only, I think, big franchise for him. Like, you think Stallone, he had Rocky and Rambo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like this was the franchise for
Schwarzenegger. I totally agree, yeah. Like, there's only the Terminator.
Yeah,
and then
I don't
everything
think he
else
ever
is
did other
B.
movies that were like sequels, unless you think about like Expendables type
Conan
shit, but
the
that's
Destroyer.
not him. Yeah, those were not
That doesn't
great.
count. It was early in his career, yeah.
But so, yeah, the fans fucking flipped for this movie, man. It played in theaters for like months.
It's a great movie. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
And sci-fi, I feel like, is not for everybody. Like, I don't know what it is about this movie that made it connect for fans so strongly.
It's a sci-fi movie that's grounded in like reality though. It's not like they're in space shooting
That's true.
lasers
Like,
and
even
stuff like
people
that.
who aren't sci-fi fans,
Yeah, they're not.
you know, they're
Yeah,
not like Star Trek people.
and even
They
though they're
can watch
fighting,
this and it's like they can relate with
yeah,
it.
and even though they're fighting a robot, it's still
It's in the present.
yeah. So
You
it's
know,
sci-fi, but
It's not heavy sci-fi.
yeah,
Yeah, the movie was a fucking huge hit. Made like nearly $80 million on a $6 million budget, like on first run. It obviously like exploded Schwarzenegger, even though Schwarzenegger only had 15 lines in the whole movie.
wow, that's saying a lot right there.
It
That you only have 15 lines as a movie. Well, it's like Hannibal Lecter, right?
Yeah, totally. Where
like
Hannibal
you
Lecter's
had-
on screen for like
and
6
it's
minutes or something.
all you think about is that when that person's on screen.
Yeah. It gave James Cameron the clout to sort of demand that he could direct Aliens. He's like, you know what? I want to direct Aliens.
God,
If you
Aliens
want my
is
script,
so
I want to
good.
direct it.
Yeah, Aliens.
Yeah,
is
I
really
love
good.
that shit.
Those
you
were
know-
those are movies back when movies were movies, right? I mean, they make good movies
Like
nowadays,
on film with practical effects
Yeah.
and like fucking robots and puppets.
but they don't
and
like
stuff.
make movies like that anymore, right?
You don't get those hard R action movies
Sure.
very much anymore.
I remember I was like looking at something the other day, and I was like, God, when was the last time I miss getting excited for like a Steven Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah.
It's been Saving Private Ryan, you know?
Was
It's
the
been-
last big movie. I liked Munich. I don't
Yeah,
know if you
but-
ever watched Munich.
No,
But,
I think I've seen it.
did you
but-
watch West Side Story yet?
Nah.
It's pretty epic.
But were you excited to see it?
No.
Like when you heard about it? Like, I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
saying if I
no.
watched it, I'm like, yeah, that was a good movie,
it's
right?
not like this. Actually, West Side Story is probably closer to a spectacle than other movies that
Sure.
Spielberg has done recently. But it's not the Spielberg spectacle that you
yeah,
think
but like
about.
when he did like Jaws and
or
E.T.,
Indiana Jones shit.
Indiana
and
Jones, or
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan,
Jurassic Park, man.
Jurassic Park. When he did those movies, you're like, this dude was like
The King.
changing like the culture,
Yeah.
and now it's like,
Are you excited for the new Avatar? New James Cameron?
nah, not really.
I wonder if it'll be good.
It's taking too long, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine
they took
it's
too
going to
long.
be good. Like, it's hard to.
I'm sure Cameron knows what
it's
he's
going
doing.
to look incredible.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like
He's like Mad Max. What's his name?
George Miller.
No, not George Miller. He's like
Mel Gibson?
He's like Mel Gibson, right? Or Tom Cruise. Crazy as shit, but knows how to make a movie, right?
Yeah, facts. I mean, it spawned the "I'll be back" line,
Mhm.
which became like this like pop culture
Yeah.
shit. You know, it even spawned one amazing sequel and a whole lot of like kind of shitty sequels. It spawned a
Yeah,
TV series.
man. When they made T3 and he put on those, he went into the mail strip. I was like, come on,
What
what
is
are you
happening
doing,
right
man?
But yeah, all those sequels after the second one, they did 3 sequels that Cameron had nothing to do with. He didn't make a dime off those. He said that he had basically, in his efforts to secure the rights to direct the first movie, he gave away his rights to any kind of sequels and stuff like that.
Hollywood
He
wins
didn't have
in
the
end.
rights to the franchise.
Gotcha.
So it was sort of like they could make it with or without him, you know. He regained the rights to the franchise in 2019. I think that was 35 years after. Like that was the deal that he would get the rights back in 35 years.
Wow.
And then he did Terminator Dark Fate, that
Never
newer
saw
one.
it. Yeah.
It's
I haven't seen Dark Fate, Genesis, any of those.
Dark Fate is okay.
Which one is that?
That's the most recent one.
Oh, is that the one where Sarah
With
Connor?
Sarah Connor's back in it. So they act like only 1, 2, and Dark Fate are like canon.
Gotcha.
And everything else is like, eh. And Dark Fate was okay. You should
Mhm.
check it out.
Yeah.
It's not great.
I
But, you
think
know,
it might be on maybe
It
it's
was on HBO. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, it's worth a look. But man, that's Terminator. That's one of my all-time favorites, dude.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
You think about like, I don't know what won Best Picture in 1984, but I promise you Terminator's a better movie than whatever won Best Picture. I don't know what
yeah,
it is.
that'd be interesting.
It's probably like Out of Africa or something.
Yeah, I was
shit
about to
like that. You
say,
know,
some
it
Meryl
might
Streep
be
movie.
Amadeus. If it's Amadeus might be better than Terminator.
Just a little bit, yeah.
But Terminator's right there. Like we were looking at the years before and after was like Terms of Endearment and Out of Africa.
Mhm.
I swear I think Terminator sci-fi just doesn't get love like
Sure.
that.
So, Do the Right Thing came out the same year
Was
as
it like 89 or something?
I forget what
88,
year,
something
but
like
Do
that?
the Right Thing came out the same year as Driving Miss Daisy, and Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture, but nobody was like, I want to see Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, that
Everybody's
happens all
like,
the time.
I want to see Do the Right Thing.
I mean-
so this with Terminator is that, right? It's like nobody. I mean, Amadeus is good. Don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna toss in a movie, you're not gonna toss in Amadeus because you gotta like sit down and actually watch it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're gonna throw in Terminator.
Well, I think about the all-timer is like, Pulp Fiction got beat out by Forrest Gump, and it's
Forrest
like,
Gump's good though,
but
man.
Forrest Gump is good. It's good in its way,
Yeah.
but it's like you feel like Pulp Fiction was a more important movie.
Yeah, to the
It like
industry, sure.
It changed movie making.
Sure, I'll agree with that. But I don't know, Forrest Gump had all those scenes where you started putting actors into like old
with JFK and Nixon
Yeah.
and stuff like yeah.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that Pulp Fiction brought a new type of like feel to the cinema, right? And Forrest Gump is just old school, like almost like it might be a Disney
It
film.
was like, that his same like period historical epic
sure,
movie that you're used to winning.
yeah, and
Versus something that's edgy and, different
raw
and new.
yeah.
Yeah, man. We made it to the end.
We made it to the end.
That's Terminator, man. All-time Mount Rushmore type action flick. Arnold's crowning jewel, I think.
I 100% agree with that.
Even
yeah.
though he was very smallly featured in this one. At some point, we'll talk about T2.
Yeah.
That one's worth talking about,
I
too.
better be here for that.
All right. We won't do it without you.
All right, man.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, Mike. Thanks, everyone, for listening on this long, long journey that we've been on.
All right, see you later.
We'll be back.